Today I wanted to talk about lease options. I have about 50 properties that I sell on lease options. The lease option strategy is a fantastic strategy in investing in real estate. And I'm going to go over several aspects as to why I believe that that's the case. Now, there's a lot of different ways to do lease options. You can buy properties using the lease option strategy, or you can sell properties using the lease option strategy, or you can buy and sell properties using the lease option strategy from both ends. And that's usually called a sandwich lease option. Today, I'm just going to talk to you about selling properties using the lease option strategy. So let's get into it. My name is Shiloh Lundahl, and you are watching the Improved channel focused on real estate investing. All right, I want to talk with you about why I like lease options. There are 5 reasons why I would prefer to use the lease option strategy over just a basic rental. So reason number 1, they are much easier to manage. So when you do a lease option, basically what you're doing is you're bringing someone into the property kind of as a renter. They're coming into the property and they are going to lease the property from you for a certain period of time in order to get, maybe their credit needs to be repaired a little bit. They need to save up for a down payment or something like that. And so they're going to come in and then they're going to live in the property for a specified period of time as they work towards being able to buy the property. And so we set up our lease options for 3 years. And the reason is because I think that it takes a little bit of time for people to get their credit where it needs to be. I also think that they may need some time to really save up for a down payment or whatever. But really, I don't want to do the lease options for too short of time because it may not give them enough time to get their credit where it needs to be or to get enough money for a down payment. So I usually set them up on 3 years as a lease option. The second reason that I like lease options is because there's little to no maintenance on our end. Because when we bring people into the property, we prepare them to become homeowners. And so we explain to them right up front that we're not looking for a renter to come into our property, but we're looking for a tenant buyer, someone who wants to come in to rent the property as they get themselves ready to buy the property. So what that means is that we have the tenants take care of all of the little maintenance that needs to take place with the property. So if a light bulb goes out, they're changing the light bulbs. If the toilet backs up, they're calling the plumber, they're paying for that. The way that we explain this to a tenant is we explain that we're not just looking for renters, because a renter expects the landlord to take care of everything. But we really see ourselves as an intermediary between someone who is a renter and someone who's an owner. And we help prepare people to become owners. And that means that they're going to be taking care of the property. And we're only looking for people that want to own their own home, that are willing to take care of the property. Then we also tell them that if they take care of the property every month, then they're going to get a $100 discount on their rent every month. But if they call us and they want us to come and take care of some of these smaller things, then they lose that $100 discount because it takes more of our time and it takes money to take care of some of these small miscellaneous little fixes that tend to happen when it comes to owning your own home. Now, we have the tenant take care of most maintenance with the property. However, if there's a big issue that comes up with the property, such as there's an issue with the roof, or in case the plumbing were really bad or something that we didn't know about because we never lived in the property before we rented it out to them. So if there's a big issue that comes up, we usually come in and we'll take care of that issue. Sometimes we adjust the option price if we have to come in and put in a brand new AC or something like that after they've lived in the property for a year or two. We might adjust the actual strike price for the option a little bit higher in order to recoup some of that money that we are bringing in to buy some new equipment for the property. The third reason I like lease options is because they help people live the American dream. And the American dream is I want to be able to own my own home. I want to be able to have a place that I call home, that I have my kids growing up in, and that nobody can come in and tell me, hey, you need to move because I'm going to sell it. I don't want some sort of landlord to just kick me out because they want to sell the property. I want to have a place where I can plant roots. This is the American dream. Reason number 4, it is easier to sell when it comes time to sell. They've been living in the property for a number of years, so they know what the property's like. So they don't need to buy an inspection, and they don't ask us to do any repairs because they've already been in the property and it was up to them to make the repairs. So the last reason that I really like lease options is because basically we just make more money as investors doing the lease option strategy. So let's dive down into some of these numbers and let's take a look. All right, so we have the rental sheet right up here first. And this is going to go over a property that I did a little bit earlier this year. Okay, it was on a street called Camino. The purchase price was $154,000 right here. The closing costs to buy it were about $2,000. So the hard money fees were $4,858, and the carrying costs were about $750 for a 3-month period. The total that we put into the property to rehab the property was around $35,000. And our all into the property when we bought it and rehabbed it and had holding costs all before we were able to get the loan was about $196,608. So then after we got the property, after we fixed it up, we started the loan process right away. And it took us a few months to actually get the loan on the property. So the appraised value for the property came in at $230,000. So we're able to get a loan for that property for 75% of the value of the property. And that loan came in at $172,500. As we get it refinanced again, we have to pay another set of financing costs. And so these ones were a little bit more expensive. It was $5,000 to get this one refinanced. So I have some of my own money kind of locked up in this property. And what I'll often do if I have too much of my own money locked up into a property is I'll leverage it. If the bank will lend me 75%, I will get another private money lender to put in another 5% in order to lessen the total amount that I have left into the property. So in this case, that other 5% is $11,500. And so in this situation, as a rental, there's no option fee. And the first month's rent is $1,350. They put in a deposit of $675. And then the total back that I'm getting from the seller is $1,350. Now, I don't include the $675 deposit that's coming to me because that money really isn't my money. So that money should be set aside and not included in any profit or anything like that. That money is set aside for the tenant to be able to get that back if they were to move out or if they were to exercise that option for the tenant to get when they move out of the property. Well, my total that I have left into the property is $16,258. Okay, that's the total amount that I have put into the property of my own money. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the cash flow. So again, the monthly rent is $1,350. Now my loan payment is $786.69. Now that's a 30-year loan fixed at 3.625%, which is great. So right now I'm able to get some pretty good rates on loans because the rates are so low right now. All right, so now let's take a look at some of the other costs I have, and I've highlighted these and I'll explain why. So the investor payment is going to be $95.83. That payment is 10% of the $11,500 that they put into the property. So that's 10% divided by the 12 months out of the year. And then the taxes for this property are $44.17, insurance, $42.92. And so the next three categories are categories that I have estimated because I don't know exactly how much maintenance is going to be, how much repairs are going to be, the capital expenditures, when the roof goes out, that's going to hopefully happen, much later, but I'm going to have to budget in case that were to happen. And then there's also vacancy. When you rent it to someone and they move out, then you usually have to come in, fix some things with the property. You have to list it. And it may take a month in order to get somebody, a good tenant to move back into that property. All of the expenses from the mortgage down to the vacancy are taken out of the monthly rent. So my cash flow on this property is going to be just under $100 a month. Now that doesn't seem like a lot. I'm laying out $16,258 for only $100 a month. Ah, man, that doesn't look like it's a very good return. In fact, the ROI, the return on investment, is only 7%. Ugh, that is not a very good return, but that's how these numbers play out. Now let's take a look at what if I were to sell this property in 3 years? Okay, I keep the property for 36 months and I sell it in 3 years. Let's say the property is increased in value over the next couple of years. So now I'm selling it to him for $239,900. My total outstanding on the loan, the loan amount was $172,500. But now I've paid it down a little bit. Every month as they were paying it down, they were paying down interest, but also principal. So the total amount that I owe is $162,415.38. So the investor loan that needs to be paid off is $11,500. Okay. Closing costs are around 9%, and that includes 6% for both realtors. So it's 3% for the seller's realtor and 3% for the buyer's realtor. Plus, I need to maybe fix up a couple of things. They may ask for some repairs to be made before I sell it, or they may ask for some concessions. And then I also need to pay closing costs. So all of those costs are going to be around 9% of the total sales price. So about $21,591. So what comes back to me after I've sold it is going to be $44,393.62. But now I need to also minus the amount that I put into the property of the $16,258. So my total profit in 3 years, including my cash flow for the 3 years and including everything that I got from the sale, is going to be $31,661. So I'm going to get a 64.9% return on my investment over a 3-year period of time. So that return of nearly 65% is an average return over 3 years. Because the first few years, I'm only getting $100 a month coming to me. But then when I sell that property and I get that big amount coming to me, and then I divide it over a 3-year period of time, that's how I make the 64.91% return each year. Okay, now let's go ahead and take a look at what it looks like if it were a lease option property rather than just a rental. So all of the numbers are the same: purchase, closing costs, hard money fees, carrying costs, rehab costs, all of those are the same, okay? So the appraised value came in at $230,000. The bank gave me the same loan for $172,500. I still have that private money lender in there in second position who lent me $11,500 on this property. Now here's where things get a little bit different. This is why I highlighted things in the other spreadsheet and this spreadsheet, because these are the differences. So you have the option fee that comes to me, and now this is actually just profit that comes to me, $4,900. And as you can see, first month's rent is $100 more as a lease option than it was as just a rental. So why is that? Why would I be able to charge $100 more for a lease option property over just a rental? Well, it's because people really want to own their own home, but they can't own it just yet. So they're willing to pay just a little bit more for the opportunity to then buy that home. It's the same concept as if you were to go to a car dealership and you want a car, but your credit's not good. You're going to be paying more for the ability to buy that car than somebody who comes in with great credit. That's just how it is. If you have good credit, then you just tend to get better rates. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the other things that we see here. So my total into the property is only $11,258. The other one, if you remember, is like $16,000. So all of a sudden, the total amount that I have into the property is cut by a third. Okay, so now let's take a look at some of the cash flow. My monthly rent, $1,450. Bank loan is the same. Investor payment, taxes, insurance, all of those are the same. But if you notice here, I'm not including maintenance or repairs. I'm not including vacancy or CapEx. And why am I not including those things? I'm not including those things because I don't have to take care of those things with the property because my tenant buyer is going to be taking care of all of the maintenance and repairs. Unless, again, it's something really big that I didn't notice when I was rehabbing the property. Then I'll come in and I'll take care of that. When I get a property, I work really hard at looking at some of those major mechanicals to make sure that they're going to last at least 3 to 5 years so that the person in the property is able to live in the property without any of these major things going wrong. So I don't have to budget for those things when I do a lease option. So when you come down here and you take a look at our cash flow, remember it was only $100 a month as a rental. Here it's $510 a month. So this is one of the big reasons why I like lease options over just plain rentals. So you take a look at my ROI. My ROI as a lease option is 54%. And you remember as a rental, it was about 7%. So now let's take a look at when I go to sell the property, when the tenant goes to exercise their option to buy. All right, so the same sales price is $239,900. Total outstanding on the loan, $162,415.38. So I'm paying off the investor loan. My closing costs are only $2,399. And why is that? Well, because the buyer is paying for all of the closing costs and I don't have to pay for realtor fees. So the total coming to me at that point is $63,585.62 if they were to exercise the option the last month of their 36-month option period. So the total profit, both in monthly cash flow and in the amount that I get at the sale, is $70,700. So I'm able to create about a $40,000 increase because I used the lease option model. So I love lease options. It's a great opportunity for the tenant buyer to be able to get into a home a little bit earlier than they would be able to in order to set up roots and be able to buy that property. So now that we've gone through the numbers, let me reiterate 5 ways that you make more money using lease options than just plain rentals. Number 1, you're able to charge a higher rent because people want the American dream. They want to be able to get into a property that they can call their own. Number 2, you get an option fee, and that option fee might be $3,900, it might be $4,900. It really is going to depend on your specific area. Number 3, there are lower closing costs at the end when you go to sell the property. Number 4, I don't pay any realtor fees. And then the last one, number 5, the tenant pays for the repairs. So those 5 reasons why I make more money using lease options than just a plain rental. You may want to know, why don't you just keep the property for long term? If I were to keep the property for a long term, what happens is I don't get this $70,000 anytime soon, and the property is going to break down over time. I want to be in this property for maybe 3 to 5 years because I can create enough equity in that time to where when I sell it or when the person exercises the option, then I'm able to take that profit and I can take that and I can divide it into several other properties. One of the ways of making wealth in real estate is being able to trade up. And using the lease option strategy is a fantastic strategy in being able to trade up your properties for bigger, better, and more lucrative properties. Hopefully this training was helpful for you. If it is, go ahead and click that like button and subscribe to the channel. I'd love it if you would. It gives me an opportunity to be able to reach out to more investors, and it helps it so that you get to see some of the content that I'm sending out every week. So thanks so much for watching. Have a fantastic day.